Chapter 5 Light Ground. It began as a debate and grew into a riot. That riot has now become a revolt in the streets of New Memphis, and the William Lawrence Tunnel is closed to all trains in or out of the sister city. The transit tunnel is made of glass and runs for miles over the desert. The residents of Eden are haunted by the stillness of the commuting rails and the radio silence from the city government. When communications were cut, bonfires began to illuminate the buildings on the distant horizon. Children have wondered little about what happened to the north. None have the heart to tell them what fuels the flames beneath that honeycomb dome. The children have noticed, however, the supplies are dwindling. The grain cars began to reroute. From farms to the seceded city, a train ride away. It started 2 days ago, and now the north of Eden is cleared of civilians. The siege of New Memphis has been debated for a day and a half. Zion will go to war for the very first time. Soldiers stand behind the emergency transit door machine. It towers 50 stories tall and lodges its teeth into the seams between the halves of the door. Private Julius Winter is among the 500 men who stand ready to enter the passageway. As one, the men stand motionless. The engine roars and a deafening screech echoes from one side of the city's dome to the other. The families nestled in concrete neighborhoods. Workers in glass office buildings. The visitors on hotel balconies hear, all hear, the piercing cry of war, followed by the march of troops. They walk into the jaws of the enemy to defend a land they may never see again. The glass tunnel is lined with magnetic tracks that stretch over Zion's desert wasteland. Dust devils and dried mud meet mountains beyond a field of domed farms. The troops scan their eyes along the trackway, searching for any sign of explosives. There is nothing to be found along the seamless floor. The large infrastructure dwarfs the men marching in unison. The tracks are numbered along their route, 1 through 7. Before the conflict, the 7 trains ran every hour throughout the day. For 2.5 days, they've been silent. 4 of the trains lay in Eden's train yard. The other 3 and 2 spares are on the far end of the tunnel. Faces are crowned with Kevlar helmets. Under skin-tight suits, the men sweat for fear of what might come next. However, the soldiers' footsteps are not impeded. Their autonomous motion is second nature. Nearly halfway from home, a large bang is heard, and smoke appears on the far end of the tunnel. Then, a light emerges out of the dust, steady and unrelenting. A train is coming. "This is Captain Jones. We have a train coming," the captain yells into the radio. Just then, the light splits into 4. "We hear you, Captain. 4 trains," the radio responds. "Tracks 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. All the men move into tracks 3 and 4 to let them pass. The voice comes in again. "Captain, come in. We're sending up 3 lines. 2 for the men and 1 for a blockade." "Roger. Men, get ready. I want Oscar and Mike to take the head of the blockade train. Run a car across tracks 1 and 2. Squads Delta and Foxtrot get the following ones across tracks 7 through 5. The rest of the train cars should be used to support them. Angle them like an arrow." The captain points his hands triangularly toward the enemy city. When the train arrives, the men move without a moment of thought. The captain then grabs a handful of men to give them private orders. The men break from the group and charge the train cars with explosives. Each one is put on the side facing Eden. Most are placed toward the inner part of the arrow. Other men pull the hovering train cars with all their might. Charges are placed directly on each track. If the trains don't fall through the floor, then the magnetic railway should lose power. With the cars in place and the explosives set, the men board the trains along the 2 and 3 track. "Roll out!" the captain yells, and the trains begin to glide forward. As the opposing trains grow near, there's an eerie silence. Not one round is fired. The 2 Zion trains slow to a near halt, but the 3 trains bound for Eden continue relentlessly. The Zion trains then move at full force, and everyone ducks for cover. As the trains pass, curious soldiers peer up to find packages lining the aisles of the trains. They're rigged to hit home. Heads peer out with anticipation. The captain holds his hand to wait for a signal, and the men holding detonation devices watch him. "Those fuckers!" the captain mutters to himself as he stares back at home. Suddenly, from Q, he drops his hand. "Now!" An eruption of smoke shakes the tunnel, and the magnetic railway falls. Electric bolts crack out to every wall surrounding the blockade. The Zion trains fall together, screeching for several yards. The team recovers from the floor and the backs of seats. A hum of whispers grow on the train. Sinking hearts rise suddenly, and a single shout dissolves all concern. "Look!" A train falls outside the tunnel, through the clouds and shattered glass. Dust plumes from the ground below as it hits the desert floor. A roar of triumph electrifies the men. All the enemy trains begin exploding, and alarms sound. The hiss of emergency air comes through the pipes along the sides of the tunnel. The laughter fades as home is cut off. One soldier comments aloud, "That might have been a little too good." Julius looks to the captain to find his stone-cold face fixed behind them. He looks at Julius and smiles with a wink. "Physics," the captain says. He pats Julius on the shoulder. "The answer to everything." Julius nods and the captain passes him. Julius turns his head to stare at the enemy ground before them. The captain stands to the front of the car to address the troops. "No turning back, men. The only way you're going home is through victory." The men give a group shout, and the captain orders them out of the train. As the troops move onward, they find masked enemies marching their way along the sides of the tunnel. Down the middle, 3 tanks press on them. They roar with an electric hum as they roll forward into the tunnel. The gunfire begins and men push the train cars to make places for cover. The captain slaps a man who clasps the end of a train car. The man is stunned, and all eyes fall on the captain. As bullets fly from his back, the captain stands with his fists clenched. "Do or die. These cars won't save you. Charge!" The men stand in awe. His crazed roar breeds wildness from the troops. Veins protrude from his neck. The men run in a roaring sprint toward the tanks. Bodies fall in the madness. Feet fly without falter. Bullets sing and whistle from the round edges of the tunnel. With steady aim, the troops take crowds along the sides. The men in the middle continue to sprint with explosives in hand. The tank fires and misses to the back of the tunnel. The charges are thrown and detonated. The glass shatters from all sides, and the magnetic railway is left to the desert air. A breeze carries smoke away. At the gate of New Memphis, more masked men come forward. The third of the 3 tanks reverses backward from the fallen 2. It delivers devastation as it retreats. Julius finds cover behind the armor of a dead tank. He begins firing at the crowd at either side, but the 3rd tank's fury keeps him down for cover. The captain stands beside him. "You shoot right," the captain says. "I'll go left." His strategy allows their progress as they move up from cover to cover. Suddenly, they are out of moves to make. The disadvantage of being on the attack is clear. The tank keeps them pinned as masked men pick off their bodies. One soldier breaks from the Zion pack and charges at the tank with a belt full of explosives. Cover fire is given by every man in the tunnel as he makes it 50 yards, sustaining several shots to the body. The tank aims its automatic gun directly at him. He hurls the belt of C4 onto its top. The automatic gun makes him unrecognizable within seconds, but the belt drapes over the tank's center. His fellow troops detonate the explosives, and the tank presses down into the floor. Pipes rattle, and the floor rumbles. The smoke clears, and the tank is gone. They press forward into the sound of gas hissing in the smoke. The floor is gone. Below them, the tank lays flat and bent on the desert floor. The troops form on the captain and press forward on pipes crossing the gap. With the smoke as cover, they make it to the gateway of New Memphis. On their arrival, 3 shots are fired from nowhere. The captain signals the troops to get cover in silence. The dust settles, and the enemies look on in confusion. The Zion forces sprout up from cover and open fire with the wrath of scorned men. A rain of bullets return until the rebel forces are overwhelmed. They drag their masked dead away in alleyways, stairways, and sewers. They retreat like spiders into their secret lair. After 5 minutes of fury, the frequency of the fire dissipates. More United Zion troops emerge from the tunnel and pour into the streets. Zion has earned back the south end of New Memphis. Over the next few hours, a perimeter is made with concrete blockades. Supplies are delivered by helicopter to the hole made by the last tank. First the barricades, then the artillery is delivered shortly after. After that, the troops receive food and catering equipment. Finally, before the company eats, the dead are delivered home. The blood and dust are washed clean from their hands, and dinner is served. In Eden, parents and loved ones wail in sorrow for their soldiers. The city is sad, but proud of the courage they witnessed on the north horizon. A statue will later be erected in America Square. It will show the young man Tim, who destroyed the third tank with a belt of C4. He will stand atop a broken tank, beneath which a plaque will read, "When hell broke loose in the north, a band of young men gave everything to stop it. It is their sacrifice that saved our promised land, our garden city." Mayor Wu. Thereafter, Eden will be called the Garden City, and the tank will be left to rust in the desert outside New Memphis. After the battle, the troops are stationed at the mouth of New Memphis. Dinner is served as chicken, corn, and mashed potatoes. Here, Julius waits in line for food until he sees the captain approaching from the corner of his eye. Julius slams down his plate suddenly, and the server lets out an exclamation as potatoes fall from his ladle. At the sound of a splat, the server glares at Julius, but notices the young man is in a stiff salute. "Sir," Julius says. The captain laughs. "At ease, kid, I'm grabbing a plate." The captain pats him on the shoulder, and Julius looks again at the server. His eyes follow down to the spilled potatoes, and his heart sinks. "Don't sweat it, kid. I'll take care of it." The server shoos him away with a forgiving hand. Julius apologizes and moves along. At his table with other survivors, Julius is unaware of the captain's eye on him. To another man, the captain mutters over the tapping of plastic forks on paper plates. "What's the deal with that kid over there?" The gentleman lower in rank replies, "That's Julius Winter. He's one of those new ones." "New ones?" the captain asks with a tense face. The man nods. "Brand new." The captain looks on curiously. For a new kid, he knows his shit. After dinner and a quick call to the colonel, a decision is made. One of the task forces lost a man. Finding a fifth person is not a hasty task. But the captain decides to take a chance. A young man who approaches Julius asks him to hurry. "You had Drill Sergeant Dale, I presume," the young man says. Julius falls behind him with severity. "Yes, sir," he responds. The young man laughs. "He could make the biggest slowpoke into a punctual man." They round the corner into a large building where an office is being managed. 4 men stand waiting for Julius. He begins to shake each of their hands. Each is introduced by a codename. Chief, the sergeant and leader of the group, is a 200-pound, 6-foot tank of a man. Bald and dark skin with piercing blue eyes. Following down the line, there's Pluto, a short and skinny kid with a long pointed nose and a cleft chin. His dark circles make his sunken eyes even more apparent. While possessing the face of a villain, Pluto may be one of the kindest hearts Julius will ever meet. The third companion is Dash, a sniper who Chief says looks like Jesus on steroids. His mathematical skills far outweigh his social capabilities. When spoken to, he often replies briefly and awkwardly, but behind the gun, his focus is unbreakable. Lastly, there is Cricket, a young and kind kid with little else to him. A clean slate, with character hidden under a deep surface of normality. an unnatural normality. As it turns out, Cricket is a medical specialist. He graduated college with a degree in nursing. He was therefore assigned to the group as a medic. Pluto, on the other hand, is more like Julius, assigned as a grunt. Nothing out of the ordinary for the young man except for his 6-speed sports car. It's noted for its ability to, quote, slam your head back so hard it'll give you a concussion. In the academy, they put him to the test, and his performance even prompted a compliment from Drill Sergeant Dale. Born and raised in New Memphis, Pluto made money as a pizza delivery driver. His familiarity with the neighborhoods makes him an integral part of the group. Dash was assigned for being the sharpshooter he is. He also specializes in recon for the Field Artillery Group. His quick math provides excellent fire support. The intel gathered by Dash is filtered through Chief. As the platoon leader, he is a man of many talents. Back home, Chief was a blue-collar working man with a degree in civil engineering. He was looking to move up in the company, but didn't have the money for the required degree. He enlisted to earn his degree, but felt he belonged in the service. His knowledge in structures, electrical, and plumbing make him not only the ultimate handyman, but the perfect strategic planner on the urban battlefield. The captain summarizes each of these men to one another. These men are your new group. You are a task force to be reckoned with. Sound off, boys! With that, the men let out a deep bark of a yell, and the captain walks away. Pluto welcomes Winter with a nonchalant manner. Looks like we need to make you a code name. Liking his own name, Julius is afraid to be stuck with something silly or stupid like Lamb Chop or Buttons. My name is just fine. Cricket informs him. We use them so the bad guys don't go snooping for our families back home. Julius shrugs. I don't have a family. There's confusion for a moment, but the men catch on. Oh, Cricket says. Chief takes the reins. We're your family now, kid. And in this family, everyone's got a code name. And I think I've got the right one. Chief's good at nicknames, Pluto adds. How about Zero, short for Sub-Zero, since you're like Winter, cold as ice. He smiles, knowing he has Julius pinned. Told you he's good, Pluto affirms. Julius smiles and nods. I could do that. Chief's hand falls heavy on Julius's shoulder. Welcome to the crew, Zero. The men pat Zero on the back with enthusiasm, and Julius accepts his family, gladly.